Hey traders, welcome to Master the Market, where we help you become a market master. In today's video, I want to focus on RIVN stock. We're going to talk about what caused the stock to have such a significant gap up this morning, where I see the price potentially going in the near future, and I'm going to break down my 2 day trades in RIVN today that led to a $427 loss. So stay tuned and let's get right into it. Now, being that RIVN is not some kind of small cap stock that regularly gaps up 20, 30, 40, even 50%, it is a much larger market cap stock. We can see the market cap is about 16 billion as of this morning's price. The float for this stock is 718 million shares, so it's obviously not a very low float stock. That means that if it's going to have such a significant move, it's going to be because of a significant amount of demand, usually because of some kind of catalyst put out by the company. Now, that catalyst can be any kind of press release. That catalyst can be an earnings report that is showing growth in the earnings and growth in the financials of the company. That catalyst can also be something like the CEO of the company investing a large amount into the stock. Whatever it may be, it's going to require some kind of catalyst for such a significant move like we saw this morning in RIVN. So I want to take a quick look. The news here is that Volkswagen is going to be investing $5 billion into RIVN. Obviously, being that RIVN is a producer of electric vehicles, it is a great sign that such a large company like Volkswagen is willing to invest such a significant amount of money, $5 billion, into the stock. That was the catalyst for this morning's gap up, and the reason that this was really on my radar is because if we take a quick look at some of the statistics here, RIVN has a short float percentage of about 18.6%. So what exactly does that mean? Well, if you think about it, if someone is short selling, they're going to profit from the stock going down. And if the stock goes higher, their position is going to be at a loss. So a lot of times in the stock market, when we have a stock that has such a significant amount of short sellers in it, we can end up getting what is known as a short squeeze. That happens when the stock has a quick move to the upside, and all of the shorts that are now at a loss on their short position are going to be forced to buy out of their positions in order to manage their risk. And all of that buying coming into the stock from those short sellers, along with the buying from the people that are just buying a regular position, is going to cause a ton of demand for the stock and is going to push the price higher. That's the exact same concept that caused GameStop to have such a big move, and that was kind of the idea behind why I thought we would see a nice run in RIVN today. Obviously, so far it hasn't played out quite as well as I would have liked it to, but I do still think there is potential for this stock to go higher. Now, with all of that being said, my first trade today in RIVN was actually into the opening dip. I posted at 9:37 this morning in the Market Master group. Link down below in the description if you want to get access to all of our day trade alerts, that RIVN has some potential support around $15 and that I was taking a starter position into this opening dip. Wide risk for now, only planning to add if it can start curling up from here. So in order to understand what I mean by the potential support around $15, we have to take a quick look down here at the daily chart. And I want to kind of actually ignore today's price action for the sake of this and just take a look at the past year or so. We can see that last year from about mid-October to mid-November, we have some support that's forming right around the same area. A few months later, early in 2024, we see that same area start to act as support. The stock curls off of it a little bit, and then we end up having a big gap down beneath. However, before that gap down, this was clearly a significant level and a significant area for RIVN. That previous support happened to lie right at about $14.70 up to about $15 per share. So I knew that when RIVN was gapping up this morning and started to pull back at the open into that past level of support, that it was going to potentially become a key level once again, and that's why I decided to take a starter position into that opening pullback. So if we draw a line of support here, and then we take a quick look up here at the intraday chart, we can see it had a really nice bounce off of that support initially, bouncing all the way from about $14.70 all the way up to a high of $16.31 in the span of about 10 or 15 minutes. So that is where I took an initial trade in this stock as it was dipping down into this support, and I took a quick scalp as it bounced back up into the VWAP, starting off with a profit here in RIVN. Now obviously this was somewhat of a risky trade because of how weak this open was, and in theory this could have just easily broken through that support and went straight down to 14. I knew that was a risk, and that's why I only took a starter position. It was a very small position size, and I was comfortable risking all the way down to probably about $13 per share. And that being said, the second trade for me is where I ended up taking a loss and where I ended up wiping out the profits from that first trade. So if we take a look here at some of my posts from the Market Master group, I posted when I was exiting out of that first trade as it was bouncing back into the VWAP. And then about 15 minutes later or so, we see that RIVN is starting to pull back, and I decided to get back into another starter position looking for a higher low than late morning opening range breakout, risking off of the low of day. So after we got this nice bounce, it started to pull back into the VWAP. This is where I was taking my starter position on this second trade. Again, I was expecting to see this form a little bit of a higher low above this morning low and then start to curl up, push through that opening range breakout level, and then maybe even squeeze up to $17 or higher. That was kind of the thought process for this trade. So I bought some here into the dip near the VWAP. I then buy some as it's starting to curl around the $15.50 area. On my second trade, I ended up with 1,000 shares, where my first trade was only 500 shares. So since this ended up being a loss, because it was a loss with a larger amount of shares, that's why I ended up overall with a loss in RIVN. I was forced to cut losses on that once it started to break down underneath that morning low later in the afternoon. So all in all, I think it was a pretty solid trade plan, and I don't necessarily regret getting into this trade. I think that it was a trade that was worth taking. In many situations, it would have worked out as planned. But in the case with RIVN, it ended up being a loss, and I think, if anything, where I went wrong was adding into this position in the 1550 area. At that point in time, it already dipped significantly more than what I wanted it to. So by adding into this trade that was already at a loss, I was pretty much just adding to my inevitable loss in the future. Hopefully you guys can learn from my mistake with that one and focus on only adding to your winning trades. Alright, all of that being said, as far as RIVN in the future, I think the next couple of days we still have some potential for this stock. I want to take a quick look at NVAX, NVAX. This is also a very heavily shorted stock, and if we take a look down here at the daily chart, we can see that a few months ago, NVAX had a big gap up from their earnings report. It ended up closing the day red from where it opened. However, we can see the following day it gapped up a bit and was able to squeeze right through the previous day's high and continue to trend higher and higher and higher over the following weeks. I'm not necessarily saying that's exactly what's going to happen with RIVN, but I do think it is a possibility because of how heavily shorted it is. So within the next couple of days, I will be keeping my eye on that $15 level. If it's able to start reclaiming that level tomorrow, I'll be liking the setup then for a move back to the highs and maybe even a squeeze to new highs from there. So let me know down below in the comments, where do you think RIVN is going to go in the next couple of weeks? But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you found some value in this video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you want to come join us in our group chat, get access to our day trade and swing trade alerts, our detailed trade plans, our live custom scanner streams, and so on and so forth, all of that can be found in the Market Master group. There's going to be a link down below in the description for you to get signed up. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and good luck with your trading.